Hey guys, welcome back. Dr. D in a Dungeon. Another project. I know, another project. Cindy and I have been watching Nerd Forge and really love her content. And one of the things that she is that we really enjoy is her bookbinding. And so we thought we would give it a try. So okay, I set my marketplace foo to find a press, and sure enough I found one. Now with that being said, it does move. It is missing the handle. I have found one that will work, but it's all the way up in Macon. It's about a 4-hour drive. Not that I won't do that for what I need, but I prefer not to. I'm trying to get these people to ship it to me, but I don't know. But I may work a few more deals to see if I can get one closer. But anyhow, as you can see, it's in really rough shape. It's all still there, but you know, it is a rusty mess. And so the liquid that you see on there is PB Blaster. I've just been given a pretty liberal coat in I'm going to try to get this apart so I can clean it up real good and restore it. So this is already loose. Probably the ones I'm going to have the most problem with are these two little cap screws here. They are rusted to almost nothing. I don't know. Worst case scenario is that, you know, I have to grind these off, pop this cap off, and then I'll turn it 90 degrees and I'll drill and tap 2 more holes. I mean, that's worst case scenario. I may be able to get those out without too much problem. We'll see. So I put an initial wrench on these two. They're both rusted badly. I mean, they are really rusted badly. I did put a wrench on them, and yeah, that one's going. Yeah, look at that. That one's going. So we'll get that one off for sure. And the other one was locked up pretty tight. I thought I got just a little bit of movement out of it, but maybe not. Flip it over so I can get a different angle on it. And this thing is heavy. It's about, I don't know, 40 pounds or so. There we go. Alright, so a brass hammer, so if I have a stray blow, I'll either breaking something or less. Well, that was promising. I think we're turning the stud out of the arm, but that's fine too. Yep. Look at that. Yeah, we're turning the stud out, but that's fine. No, we're not. Nope, that's coming out. All right, we're good. So this will be easy. Easy peasy. I really like working with this older stuff like this because much better quality of metal, steel, cast iron, whatever you want to call it. And you know, something, if this was a new piece that was seized up that hard, it'd never come. You just forget it. It wouldn't happen. But as you can see there, it's turning right off. And that hasn't been soaking but about 20 minutes. Alright, here we go. And this one was already on its way out, so let's see if we can. I should be doing this over on my fab table. I don't want to get oil all over it. I know, it's ridiculous. It's still too new. waiting to come loose, and I'll mess with that in a minute. But I think in the interim, I want to see if I can't set this thing down nice and square. Okay. So the first trick we have in the books, I'm not even going to try to stick. They're the standard screwdriver. Like I said, they're so badly rusted that I don't think there's any way that's going to happen. So we're going to try a punch and see if I can't. Nice and soft. But yeah, it's not wanting to move. Let's try this one. No, not even moving. Alright, well that's unfortunate. Probably what I'll do is I'll go get a chisel and that'll give me a little bit more surface area to bite on. Yeah, let me go get a chisel and we'll come back. You can zoom it in using the camera. There you go. Alright, let's try this. The worst case scenario on this is I'll just shear them off. I mean, I don't really want to, but yeah, they're not wanting to budge. Come on. Like that one might have buzzed just a little bit. A nice big flat there now. No. Nope, that'd be a fat nope. Well, shoot. Alright. I'm just going to take the head of them off. This one's all but done. That one's not wanting to go. Alright, we'll come back in a minute. Alright, I'm going to try one other thing. I got a 1/4 inch nut that I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to try to weld that to it. It might work, might not. I kind of have my doubts, but I'd sure like it to. Alright, we'll see. I don't really hold out a whole lot of hope for it, but it is definitely a possibility because you're putting a lot of heat in it when you do that, and then welding that nut on there gives you something that you can actually twist on. So we'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Alright, so this has been it's so rusty, and there's so much rust between all the surfaces that I wasn't able to get a bead without doing some finagling. What I wound up doing was grinding the top of this down and I basically just built up a little bit of a round bead around it, and that worked. I was trying to weld the nuts on there. That was not working. It just wasn't happening. So, but now we've got it moving, and unfortunately, not a lot of room to work with, but it is moving. It is coming out. Wish I had even smaller vice grips, but it will come out now. But yeah, this was, we played around for probably about 15 minutes trying various things. I tried to weld about 6 nuts on here, and it just, because I couldn't get a good arc, it just wasn't working real well. But once I put a bead on top of it and then just built that bead up, and that's what you're looking at here, that worked. And you can see it's on its way out. Finally. But because it's such a tight, constrained space, I'm just having a heck of a time getting it out of there the last little bit. But it is coming. Needless to say, we won't be reusing this screw. God. There we go. Looks like about a number 10 screw in there. Not real big. Just having more luck with these. There we go. And of course, it's a long-winded son of a gun. Come on. Maybe you got your little short pliers over there. You can grab those for me. By the time you get them, I'll have it out, but maybe not. Yep. That might work a little better. I'll never make fun of your pliers again. Sorry for the serenade, folks. I can hear our little Doxy. I can hear my cats. Everybody's wanting to be on camera today. There it is. That puppy was in there. Alright, back in a minute. All right, so we're going to try to just build up a little bit on that again and see how that works. So I want you to hold that right there. And if you hold it nice and firmly, then it won't mark on me and I won't get scars. All right. There goes nothing. Cool moment. Got a little off. That's all right. Let's see real well. I believe it's moving. Yeah, moved a little bit. All right, I'm gonna try that again. Try to get the bead right on it this time. I got a little off. Turn my sensitivity down a little bit. Hold there. Hold there. All right, let's let that cool down. I think that it will probably just turn out now. Yep. Ah! Now I broke it off. Damn it. Well, shoot. Well, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's a 1/4 20. So, I'll be able to figure out what's up with it. Yeah, there it is. I could probably actually weld a nut on that. There's enough sticking up above it. But anyhow, we got this plate off, which is what we've been trying to do. What I wasn't thinking about is how am I going to pick the plate back up? There we go. Alright, so we're going to have to bust this thing apart to get that off there too. Alright, but that's coming up in the next episode. So, you know, it started to turn out and then it just broke off. But I think I can probably weld a nut on that and get it out. Talk to you out for now or later. Look at that. Just a little bit of the bolt sticking out. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and try to get that nut out. I've cleaned it up and actually threaded the 1/4 20 on there just a little bit, just enough to get some bite. And I think it'll probably come right out. We'll see. Ready? So that does two things. Number one, it soaks a lot of heat directly on that part, which will break loose a lot of stuff. And since this is actually on that, I think we'll see. I might not get lucky, but maybe I will. I think we're gonna get lucky. Nope. Dang it. No, I didn't get a good. I didn't get a good bond to the nut or to the bolt itself. All right, we'll try it again. Back in a few. All right, folks. Still working on this. I believe I'm going to get it out, but I have tried to weld about 3 nuts on there. I've built it up, and just not getting enough traction on it to get it out. So while it still has some heat on it, I went ahead and filled it with PV Blaster. I'll let it sit overnight, and I expect tomorrow I'll be able to clean it off, and it'll probably turn right out. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to try to break the overarm loose from the base plate, and I'm going to try to do that without breaking it because it's cast iron. So more in a minute. Alright, so you know, this has been stuck for goodness knows how long, 100 years, whatever. So just with a rubber mallet, I'm just kind of hanging around on it. I'm going to put the nuts back on there. I'm going to lightly tap on that. Again, once it starts to break loose, I think it'll come right loose. But you know, we're padding, sitting for 100 years or however long. Be right back. So I put the nuts back on. Copper hammer, copper mallet, and just a little lightly tapping. That seems to be doing something. Seemed like it did, but maybe not. Again, I've just got to be careful because it is cast iron, and I don't want to break it, but I do want it to come apart. So again, this might be a soak it and leave it sit overnight and see what happens. I think that's what we're going to do. Just go ahead and shut that down. We're going to soak her overnight and penetrate in oil, and then we'll hit it again. This old rusty iron, I mean, it, once you get it to start moving, it will come. All right, I think we're at a place for cutting off today. So anyhow, next project is going to be once we get this apart, which I expect I'll get it apart tomorrow, and I'm going to clean it up real nice, and we'll give it a good paint job. We'll see what kind of book we're going to make. Talk to you out for today. All right, talk to you. Yeah, I let this sit for a couple hours, and went and got a bite to eat, and just been lightly tapping around on it, and then I flipped it over on its side and gave it a few taps. I didn't hit it hard, honestly, and it popped right off. So now we're all loose. I gotta get these things off again. But so yeah, bear with me just a second. Go ahead and pause it. So now we just get these puppies back off of here. See if I can gently, I think I'm going to lay that down like so. There we go. Whew. 100 years worth of dirt and crud and everything. But so now this will up out of there. we go. I can't tell what they've got on there. Probably drop that in some evapo-rust just to get rid of some of this so I can actually see what I've got there. It looks like there's a bolt down inside of this holding it in there, but I just can't tell. But I'll clean this up a little bit, drop it in some evapo-rust, and let that do its thing. So that's enough for tonight. Talk to you tomorrow. Hi folks, welcome back to Dr. Dungeon. We're getting close to the end of getting this thing fully dismantled. This morning I should have started the camera, but I didn't, so I missed it. So this little thing here, I threw this in evapo-rust overnight, which didn't help a whole lot. It did help some, but when I brought it out this morning, I could actually see that there were a couple demarcation lines here, and I thought, that's got to be a split collar, and so I went over and set on top of my vise and tapped it a sharp rap with a brass hammer, and sure enough, out came the split collar. So the evapo-rust didn't do a whole lot for this. I mean, it's pretty heavily pitted. I didn't expect it to do a whole lot. So I'm going to clean up this in a lathe with some emery cloth. I think I'm going to throw these in some white vinegar just to kind of, because it's really kind of corroded, and see if we can get some justice there. And then for the little acorn nut that goes on top, I'm thinking I might just recreate that in brass. That would be kind of a cool thing. And so that's what I think I'm going to do. You know, why not? So anyhow, the last thing I got to do to get this thing apart is I'm still working on the one screw that broke off in here. I've still got enough sitting it up that I'm pretty sure I can get it, but it's been soaking overnight with PB Blaster, so I think I can get it. I'm pretty sure. Worst comes to worst, I mean, you know, I can try drilling it with a left-hand drill bit. Barring that, I could just drill it and retap it. I have a lot of different options. It's best if I can just get it out, but who knows? We'll see. So that's kind of where we're at this morning. I am going to keep messing with this until I can get that screw out. So, back in a bit. Alright folks, I think I might have got it. You know, I was putting 1/4 washers on there and trying to weld this in. I just wasn't getting enough contact. So, you know, with this being all rusty and dirty as it was, I didn't think that the weld would stick to it. So I put a little bigger washer or nut on there and welded to it, and darn it. Oh, it moved. Yeah, it moved. So we'll do that again. I think that'll get it. Trying to put as much heat in that as I can. Again, heat is our friend. But it did back out just a little bit, maybe 1/8 of a turn. So we'll let that cool. But I think we got it. Hope we got it. Stuff like this will drive you crazy. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Yeah, you can see a clear demarcation. I still think I'm going to get it, but this might take a few more episodes. Alright folks, well, I got about 2 threads more out of it and then it broke off again. So I went ahead, it's pretty much flush now, so I'm reaching the point of diminishing returns on this. I went ahead and welded up another nut on there with what I could get. I don't know, I might try this 1 or 2 more times, but I'm about ready to break out the left-handed drills. Talk to you. Alright, I give up on that method. I'm going to try to get a good visual on the center of this. Looks pretty close. Yeah. Over that way. And then these are left-handed drills. I don't know. I'm doubting that they work on this. They might though. You never know. But we're going to give it a shot. Alright, so with left-handed drills, you know, as they're digging in, they're actually putting a little bit of pressure in the correct direction to unscrew the screw. And so, you know, when you start small and then work your way up. And so alright, well, that one didn't do it. We'll step up a size. And we'll step up 2 sizes. So the goal of this is for that to catch enough and put enough friction on that so that it wants to back out. And instead, well, dang it. So what happens, I wasn't quite in the center, and as soon as I set this in, it wandered off to the side and actually caught the side of the hole. So let me back up 1. See if I can get that to drop the drill somewhere. And I'm going to try to come in a little bit at an angle here. Yep. Alright. Left-handed drills, no worky. So now I'm going to try one last thing here, and that is I'm going to put a nut back over it. I'm going to weld down into that and see if maybe that doesn't work. Alright folks, so what I've done, that ain't going to cut it. The left-handed drill bit I didn't work out. So what I'm going to try to do is pick up the hole with the 3/16. If I can get centered on it, then I might be able to just basically unwrap the threads. I don't know. I mean, it goes to stands to reason that this will be on some type of normal hole pattern, and so what I'm doing is I've got a center drill bit there lined up on that hole, zero my axes, and then I'm going to go over here where it's close, and you know, like I said, it would stand to reason that we're on, yeah, looks like we're going to be on a 2.5 inch, yeah, right there. Oops. There we go. 2.5 inch, and that looks pretty close. Well, I don't know, maybe not. Honestly, I think it's a little more than 2.5. So that looks pretty close. So you know, like I said, I've got a 3/16 end mill, and I'm going to try to clean that up. Again, you know, worst case scenario, I just come at 90-degree angles and re-drill this. You know, doing what I can. Back in a moment. Nothing. I just measured the old screw, about 675, and so I zeroed out my Z. Looks good. Let's go to 675. 675. Now what I'll probably try to do is put an easy out in there. I'll go ahead and zero everything out, put an easy out in that, and see if I can't get it out now, because we're all the way down at the bottom. Alright, dropped an easy out in there. I don't know. Maybe. No. Dang it. I was really hoping. Maybe. And I don't really care if I tear up the top of the threads if I can get the whole thing out. We got it. We got it. I think. Did we? Maybe. Shoot. I don't know. Maybe. I think it's... Yeah. Nope. I don't know, it's acting like part of it's coming out. I don't know. But maybe not. Yeah, we got it. Look at that. Well, we got part of it. But that's okay, because I can go in and I'll re-tap that. So, I don't know if you can see that or not. So you can see part of the threads actually came out. So that's good. So now I can do a 1/4-20 tap right on top of that, and it should follow the same hole. So progress. All right, so I got a 1/4-20 bottoming tap, and I'm just gonna get that started. And I got to be really careful. There we go. I don't break the tap off inside there. There's a little tap magic going. And I got this still in here. I probably should just go ahead and take that out. I'm done with it. Take that out so I don't cut myself. I've done that many times. Focus on something other one I should be focusing on. So we'll see how far I can get this down in there. I might go see if I've got a machine tap, because that'll clear those threads all the way back out. This is pushing the threads and the chips in front of it. But it's tapping pretty nicely. Yeah, I think I'm going to go see if I can find a machine tap. But while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and tap this hole over here. Clean those threads out because they're a little... they're a little dirty. There we go. That's about as far as I'm going to push them. Yeah, there's quite a bit of gunk in there. Turn that down in there again. We may be at max density. Yeah. Yeah, I got more to go. Yeah, let me go see if I've got a machine tap. I can push that a little further down in there, I think. Because what's happened is it is cutting and it's pushing the chips in front of it. So let me see if I got a machine tap. All right, I just happen to have one left. And so I'm hoping that this will get me just a little bit more. I don't want to overdo it either. So the worst thing I can do is break this tap off in the hole. Alright, we're at max density there. We're not going to get any more. Alright. And it'll be fine. Go and run this through here too. Comparison wise, I think we're pretty close. Yeah, this one could go a little bit deeper, but you know what? There's enough there to get us what we need. Which means there's still a little bit more of that down inside the hole, but we'll take a win. We'll take that as a win. Alright, just trying to clean up the screw a little bit. Pretty rusty. Running some emery cloth along here. I probably will find a paint stick or something and wrap some regular sandpaper in it and clean the grooves. But as you can see, it's starting to get there. I mean, it's not great, but it's a going in reverse since the tip of the screw. Pull the paper to the shot if I were to go forward. Alright, here's where it's fitted the most. But I'm not going to get it perfect. I'm not trying to get it perfect, but I just want to clean it up. Yeah, the lands are cleaning up pretty well. There's spots there. I might just touch that with a file. I don't want to take too much off, but let me just touch it with a file and see what we get. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna get down to those grooves. Like I said, I'll probably just get a piece of regular sandpaper and a stir stick or something. So back in a minute. All right, well, you would know the stir stick would be too thick. So I might just have to do it by hand. It's working, not real well, but it's working. Yeah, it's picking it up. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get any better or not. Yeah, I suppose I can hand sand this stupid thing. Boy, that's going to be a pain in the butt. I think we might just call it good. Because that's a lot. That's a fair amount. But we're going to call it good for now anyhow. I gotta clean this. This has got just the slightest bit of a taper on this end. I didn't realize until I tried to chuck off of it, and it did not want to chuck. All right. Whew. Really pitted. Man, I don't know. I could clean all that up, but I'd just almost be better off to put a piece of carbide in there and clean it up, but I don't really want to cut it. But those pits are probably 10 thousandths deep. And it's not going to clean up any better with sandpaper what I'm doing. I think they're at maximum capacity there. So I don't know. I have to think about this. Back in a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and I took a small cut off there. It cleaned up a good portion of it, but not all of it. I'm going to take another 5 thousandths or so. Almost cleaned it up. It's not a, there's no, it doesn't matter what that diameter, it doesn't interact with anything, it's just a clearance. So I'm going to take another pass. This will be, that will all be hidden anyhow. Boy, I'd really like to clean that up a little better there, but I'm just not sure how I can get it without a heck of a lot of elbow grease. So I don't know, we'll think about that one. Alright, off camera I just went ahead and I took about not even 5 thousandths off of that and cleaned it up pretty good. Still just a little bit right there. It's a 13/16. Right now it's reading 810. So just a little under 13/16 would be just fine. So I think I'm going to call that good. And I'm going to try to think if I want to try to clean those out anymore. If I can find a real stiff one, that's what I'll do. I'll get, yeah, okay, yeah, we're going to do this. Back in a moment. Alright, this is probably one of those things where I'll look back and say this was a really bad idea. But, here we go. Better. It's cleaning up, not as well as I'd like, but it is cleaning up. I need to switch this thing around a little bit. Let me come right back to you. Yeah, it's getting better. I just moved this around a little bit so it wouldn't be in the way. That's almost good enough. I'm going to hit it just a little bit more. Yeah, whenever you're using a wire wheel like this, make sure you wear glasses. I got several of these sticking in me, and not fun. I'm going to call that good enough. I'll switch it around and do the other side. But got all kind of, ow, look at that. Got a little thing stuck all in me. Alright, I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. You get the picture. There we go. Cleaning up pretty good. I even went down here with the wire brush a little bit. And you can tell how pitted that is. but that's going to be hidden. It'll be hidden all the way up to about here. So I'm not too worried about that. That's about as good as we're going to get that. I mean, I could do more, but what's the point? I just want it to look. I want it to look good. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to really hide the age on it because that's part of the allure of this. But it's cleaned up, and I think we're done with that part. Back to you. Hey guys, welcome back. So I've been toying with this nut, and this thing is so badly pitted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a brass top knot for it. And so I've got a piece of brass here that's quite large, hex stock. The major diameter on this is 1 1/4, actually a little less than 1 1/4. So I'm going to turn this down to 1 1/4. Light lathe. It's just a little Logan, and so yeah, I could take this over on the big lathe, but I kind of like playing with my little Logan. It is what it is. I'm getting a pretty nice finish on it. Right now, like I said, I don't quite have this turned all the way around, and I'm taking about 25 thousandths at a pass, and so I got, you know, 250 thousandths to go. I got a good 10 passes. So I'll probably just put you on, what do they call that? Huh?
Time lapse.
Time lapse, yeah. Sorry. I'm over 50. Yeah, the brain doesn't work sometimes. So I'll bring it down to the major diameter, and I've got enough on here to let me then flip it around, and I'll cut for the thread. Yeah, I don't know if I will or not. Yeah. So I'll make the major diameter, and then I'm going to make the minor diameter, whatever this is, off of the angles of the hex. Is it a hex? Yeah, angles of the hex, and then so I'll get that. I'm not even going to try to use a form tool on this lathe. It's not rigid enough to do that. I might be able to use a form tool to get this shoulder, but I don't know. So major diameter, and then I'll do another major diameter for this, so I can chuck it up in a 5C collet on the mill and cut the hex. And I probably will go ahead and rough this out with a file. Literally, it will take me probably less than 5 minutes with a file to make a nice rounded over corner or end. And then I'll flip it, and I'll cut down for the major diameter for the thread, which would be 1/4 of an inch, and then I'll probably just run a die over it, because threading on this thing is not a whole lot of fun either. But I do love this little lathe. It's really handy. It's fairly accurate, but you know, but it's really quick to set up. All right, so you want to take a quick look at that? Just bring it in. Big old piece of hex stock. There it is. All right, I'm going to put you on time lapse here in just a moment, and then we'll come back. 375, and go just a little shy at, probably go about 240. Close. All right, about 275.